Hello folks, and welcome to part 2 of ignition service with a Lucas distributor DM2. If you've just joined me, there is a part 1 to this. You may want to watch it because that's where I had the entire distributor out and cleaned it up, because prior to me doing that it was full of dirt, oil, etc. Not good at all. So for those of you who have watched part 1, here it is. I've since refitted it. That wasn't the easiest job, I can tell you, because it locates on studs, not set screws. The studs, of course, through age and corrosion, the nuts rusted to the studs, and when I unscrewed them to remove it, it brought the entire stud with it, so that was quite a fiddle to get that back in. But I have done. I've connected up the vac advance pipe again, off up to the carb. Air cleaner off currently. I'll stop any debris falling in. So there it is. What I'm going to be doing now is refitting the points, showing you how to refit them, the old type where they all come in separate pieces with lots of washers, etc. And also setting the contact gap, how to do that. But first of all, there's this, the condenser. I'm actually doing a test here just out of interest to check the capacitance. And there we go, it is indeed correct. 0.2 microfarad. In part 1 I found the securing screw for the contact base plate to be quite damaged by use of incorrect tools, screwdrivers, which were wrong for the job, done by maintenance men, owners, whoever in the past, knackered the screw head up. So I wanted to find a new replacement one of those. When I had my second Allegro many years ago, a gentleman gave me a big box full of unused parts, alternators, distributors, bulbs, bearings, all sorts, and amongst it was this. Cigar's long gone, but even better, the contents are all these base plates, capacitors, never used. And the story was that his father works for British Leyland, and in those days a lot of stuff went through the scrap, and his father, being quite resourceful and not wanting to see these things go to waste, brought these things home. So thanks to this gentleman and his father, I now have like a lifetime supply of ignition parts. Some of these I don't even know what vehicle they fit. They look quite recent, probably for 1980s cars at a guess, not sure what. Condensers. This is the type fitted to the 45D distributor. What I had on the Allegro, quick fit capacitor there, no screw terminals by that time, dead easy to fit. You just push the contact spring out, unclip that, and voila, no messing about with little washers. Anyway, I found this since doing this one on the standard Vanguard, that DM2. Bingo. A brand new, never used, old stock base plate. That's the one. That is the one for the car, without a doubt. Brand new, never used. I'm going to keep this as, you know, one to fit in the future when the existing one is properly worn out. You will have seen in part 1 that there was some wear here where that moves. And there it is with its mint screw. Nice new set of points as well. And a new condenser, all genuine Lucas. So yes, there were a lot of Spanish practices in industry in those days. That's a term you don't hear much now. And you can well imagine it. I mean, most of us have done stuff like that, where John comes in, he needs a new alternator for his Marina. He works for the company, he goes to the storeman who he's mates with, and he just puts one through the scrap for him. We've all done it. It's probably why these firms went bankrupt. Well, I actually gave up on using one of them. I just couldn't bring myself to use a mint new one. Take it from that contact set and use it on this, so I'll just leave that where it is. Had a change of mind, because this one, it was still functional and just a bit damaged. So what I've done is I've just dressed it with a file, just taken that damage off the top and the sides there, cleaned it up, so that's fine. That'll work again. As I say, with that other new base plate, I'll just save the whole caboodle for when this one ultimately wears out in many years to come, and many, many tens of thousands of miles to come. I've got to, first of all, I've got to get the car roadworthy though. Oh well, I'll do the easy jobs first. Oh aye, and there was that contact set. That was the one I removed. It's quite worn. You'll see there, there's quite a crater there. It will still work, but for 2 reasons, I'm just going to keep this as a get you home spare, which might help me someone else who I encounter who's broken down. And I'm going to keep it as a spare because of that wear, and also because if you've been following this series, you may remember the car as it come to me had been converted to neggy earth. That's negative earth. I since returned it to its factory spec positive earth. Now that comes into play with the ignition, because with a different polarity, of course, the spark, the electricity will be flowing the other way. So yeah, the current, it will be jumping, it will be flowing the other way, you see, to this, because they were in when it were neggy earth. So I'll start afresh with a new set of contact points. I'm not going to use the quicker fit contact set, even though it's much easier. I'm going to use the older type 423153 run back in Manchester, one of my favourite electrical firms. They really were like the Rolls Royce. They were the next best thing you could get after Lucas. tungsten ignition contacts, so you can see the amount of washers and things there. They have to be assembled in a distinct order, and that is what I'm going to show you. Now I'm going to be using this to set the contact breaker gap, and if you find one of these at a car boot sale or an auto jumble, snap it up. It's a really handy tool. It just saves you turning the engine by hand, because in the absence of one of these handy tools, that's what you'd have to do. So I'll get onto that in just a moment. Consult the book. Where was it now? Page 27 here. It gives the order of things. There's a lot of washers, as you know, a lot of fiddly little parts. Now, if you think about this logically, however, it's quite obvious, because certain parts have to be insulated from earth, isolated I should say, insulated so that they're then isolated from earth. And yes, I am using the battery as a shelf. I know I shouldn't be, but it does double up as a handy little shelf. So I'll get set up, condenser's secured, it's just ready now to receive a set of points, and the contact faces should be wiped with petrol or degreaser first, because they are treated with a preservative at the factory. Now, with the aid of that exploded diagram, I'm going to start assembling this. So I've got you see what I mean, how fiddly it is. You've got to be very careful. I've got the box of stuff here, new parts. First thing is the fixed contacts base plate. Which goes on there over the post. Locates in there, just make sure the wires are out of the way. Like so. And now just to loosely fit the securing screw in the right order: spring washer, plain washer. I'll just get that started, still allowing this to move. Then it's this big fibre washer. Now you might remember part of one of those fell out when I was flushing this thing through to clean it out. So that's how precarious and fiddly the job is, and no wonder those pre-assembled contact sets were adopted. Now, even if you don't have an exploded diagram to hand, if you think about this logically, you've got the feed coming in through here, through that wire there, that terminal, the condenser as well. That comes in through there. Now, they're going to fit on that, which is also through the base plates earthed. The entire assembly here is earthed. So these have to be isolated and insulated from earth, otherwise it would short out and cause an ignition failure, put quite simply. So if you're logical and just put a bit of thought into it, it becomes readily apparent in which order these washers have to go. Next, just a dab of grease, just the tiniest amount of grease on this post here. You don't want a lot. That's purely to help the contact assembly pivot. I'll be using more grease later on the cam as well, but not just now. So the next step is to fit the other little washer, the insulating washer there. If that'll focus to it. Yep. The other little washer goes on here. And now I can fit the moving contact, which just pushes onto this post. Like so. Proper fibre heel on these. I mean, you can, the reproductions are variable, which on forums, etc., they've received a lot of complaints. Well, if you do have to buy reproduction parts, I've had good experience with Intermotor. They seem to be the best. I've never had any problems with them, no quality issues with Intermotor. But I like to use genuine old stock parts. Next piece, wires here, these terminations. So the condenser and the actual feed itself go like so. You'll notice that little tab on it there. That's to lock the position of it. And then it's this which pushes down. Bit of jiggling about. To go through the hole, through the post there, down there. And these are now secured, just lightly. I've got the final pieces in the set. The washer, just to spread the load on the plastic, and the nut. Let's get this started. So it is easier, well, it can be easier to do this job with the distributor off the car. So there it is, that's assembled. I'll just nip that down, not mega tight. Go and get this little spanner. Forward BA. Just pull that down. Just nip it up, not tight, it's only a bit of plastic. It only needs to be as tight to ensure a good electrical connection and prevent these from moving, the terminations there. So that's fine, that'll do. Okay, now it's time to gap the points. The job for which I'm going to use those Remax contact setting gauges. Got two options there for various vehicles. This is the one I'm going to be using, 0.014 to 0.016. Now if you've just got a set of feeler gauges and you're going to have to turn the engine by hand, use a 0.015, then it's in the middle range, because most sets of feeler gauges, they don't actually have a 14 or a 16, they've just got a 0.15. Now the benefit of this is that you don't have to actually turn the engine, which on some vehicles it might be quite awkward, and especially if you don't have a starting handle, you'd have to use a big socket or a spanner or something on the crank pulley. But with this, or you could just remove the thing from the car, of course, as I've mentioned. But the beauty of this is that you just slide this collar, split side opposite to the heel, just slide the collar over, and that simulates this being on the heel of the cam. I'll put the instructions up, I'll do that. So for anybody who doesn't have the instructions with one of these sets, there you go. It also means I can refresh my memory of them as well. Dead easy, eh? So here goes. I do love these old tools. Things were just made so well and really nice to use in those days. Proper quality. So what was it I needed to do now? Get the screwdriver in. Slide that in the gap. And now tighten it up. And this is of course where people using the wrong screwdriver slipped and caused that damage to the screw head. Again, this doesn't have to be mega tight at all. Oh, I've done it myself, probably thanks to that wear on it, but that shows me, yeah, that's tight. I can remove that feeler gauge, just pull that out, and there it is. It's gapped. Yep, that's gapped. Remove the collar. And there they go, snapped shut. Now I think, just out of interest, I will, with the starting handle, I'll turn this, I'll turn the engine on the heel. I'll do that just to verify it. So if you only did have a set of feeler gauges, this is how you'd have to do it. Get it on the heel there, you see, on the end of the raised part of the cam. 15, I'm just going to check that gap. Yeah, perfect, sliding fit. Good old Remax. So now all that remains to do is to sort the cap out. Oh yes. Drop of grease, blob of grease on the cam here. Drop of oil in the centre there. I knew I had one somewhere. That, I think that was from a Morris Oxford, you know, that I had ages ago. I saved the cap anyway, because I knew it had come in handy one day. Obviously the leads are they're all perished, but I just retained it as it was. They're the proper lead ends, you know, that I was talking about. I've got some of them proper crimped HT ends. They used to paint the caps in those days, early 50s, late 50s, I don't know why. Maybe because they were Bakelite and it gave them an extra layer of protection, I don't know, but it was common throughout the 1950s. That'll clean up inside, and I know it's going to actually fit. And a short time later, there is this. Cleaned up the terminals. I didn't realise until I'd cleaned it that this centre one was brass. That was the dirtiest, most tarnished of the lot. Inside there was a hard layer. It was like a hard skin, really tough layer of well, I don't know what it was on them. Oxidation, corrosion, some chemical reaction, I don't know, but it had formed a sort of really tough layer. So I've removed that, and I've just gone round with a bit of emery cloth, carefully cleaning them up. There are some marks, scratch marks, unfortunately, over the cap. These were done before I started. I might have caught the inside slightly with the emery cloth, because that coating would have created high resistance, so the sparks, if they would have jumped at all, would have been very, very much reduced. So I've cleaned all them up. They're all nice and shiny, a bit pitted, but it'll do for now. It'll work, and that's the beauty of them. You can get them working again with just a little effort. One thing to beware of in service when you're doing your ignition maintenance, dust around the cap. Make sure that centre carbon contact is free to move and intact. Dust the cap out and check around the studs here, around these terminals, because dust collects and it can form a conductive path, and that is how tracking begins. Tracking is where the electric current, this high tension current in thousands of volts, instead of jumping to the electrode, takes a track down and it eventually burns into the moulded cap, you see. So always keep it nice and clean. And I'm going to fit this on the car. There we are, guaranteed fit with that cap. Spot on is that. No gap or anything. So you've got to have the genuine parts, you see. So the final job for this now is to make up a set of leads, HT leads, and also sort out that low tension lead. Not usually within the scope of regular maintenance. HT leads only need renewal when they are perished or damaged. So that is what I'm going to do, and it's an interesting subject in itself. So I'll get on with it. Well, it's a day or so later, and in typical British fashion, it's started raining again. Fortunately, this is a nice inside job, making up the leads. And I have these. I'd saved these from that very old perished set you've already seen. These are genuine, original Champion moulded plug caps of the type that were originally fitted to this engine, as could be seen in the illustrations of it in the books. Although there was one missing, I only had 3, so scouring the auto jumbles, came up with this replacement. Same moulding, but it's just Y-Pack branded, not Champion. But otherwise, to all intents and purposes, it's the same. You can see someone's made score marks in there. I'll tally them up actually with the leads. Yeah, someone's put little score marks. But these are exactly the sort of thing that gets thrown out without a thought. When the leads have gone, people just throw them out. And I was watching one on eBay, just one of these, Champion, and it finished the auction at £63 for one of those. 63 quid. So it pays to save these things, and I had these saved, squirreled away from a long time ago. That come with that Y-Pack one there. I don't have any more of them, which is a pity, because that just sort of plugs in there, you see. That is a push fit in there. Just a second, like so, and it's just a screw on, screwing it to the lead at the end there, much like the ones I took off. But I'll be using crimps. So I've got this old drum of old stock 7mm HT cable, PVC black, 30 meters, Lucas proper stuff, and that's fine to use, absolutely fine, quality stuff. This is like the modern stuff you get now, again sold off a roll, usually by the meter, and you can see it's broadly the same. If that focuses in, yeah, it's broadly the same, multi-stranded. You need one of these if you're going to be doing this job yourself, unless of course you use that method that we've already seen in the book. Perfectly satisfactory, but for a pro job, which I like, you need a set of these Ripots HT crimping tool. I've got my crimps there, they are the ends, they'll go into the distributor cap. I'm going to reuse these. I'll find a matching one. I've got a matching one. The acorns, so reuse those of course, and the waterproof boots there. I've been out to the car with the handy diagram there, which tells me which lead goes in which hole in the cap. Firing order anti-clockwise 1 3 4 2, usual for these 4 cylinders, though some are different, certainly forwards are. And I've cut my lead to length, ready to be made up, so that's what I'm gonna do. These are for the spark plug end, and they'll be crimped on. You see, all these have a little all these have a little spur in them, you see, that pointy spur which pierces the HT insulation to provide contact, and then they will just push in there like so. Right, here it goes. So take a crimp, pop it on the end of the lead there like so. First thing now is this rounded part of the crimping tool, just put up to that first gap there, make sure it's in. Yeah, that's nice and seated there. Then squeeze it once, just the once, all the way. Then you move it over to the next one, making sure again that that is properly as it should be. Give it a squeeze. And there we go. Then back to the round one. Fit that up just to the end there so it abuts the end. And that's made off. Nice sound crimp. Now before you do the other end, of course, don't forget to fit the acorn. Don't forget to fit that and the waterproof boot. Mustn't forget to fit them, and just test as well that the acorn actually goes over the crimp and turns, you see. That's a bit cracked. I'm sure I might have a better one of them. I'll go and get another one, I think. From another lead here, I save these old parts. I will scavenge even these washers because they might come in handy in future. You never know. You never know. Yeah, lovely jubbly. Nice and free to turn. As you see, that now will secure that as it screws down into the cap. Those tabs mean it's really, really secure. The more so than them splayed out brass washer connections. So that's on there. Now the next crimp is that one, and again similar manner. I'm just surmising this, by the way. If there is actually any body watching who used to do this and make these up, then do please leave a comment, because this is just what I'm surmising from my crimping knowledge, which isn't actually automotive based training. So let me just check that that's right. It's got to, yeah, it'll abut there, you see, as far in, just abutting that tang has got to pierce the insulation. You only get one shot at this, that's why I'm being extra cautious. Okay. And I think, to be honest, that's it with that one. You don't use the other one for finishing this. I'm pretty sure that's just left how it is, you see. But yeah, that's fine. And then, where did I put it? So then this will just push in there into the cap. Crikey. There we go, like so, right? Now, this does look very short, but I can assure you that is the correct length. So there we are, voila, ready to fit. I can test it with the ohm meter just to check continuity, although it doesn't matter if you don't get a very low reading, because of course it's HT current and it jumps. So that is now ready to fit, and I'm going to carry on and do the rest of the other three. So I'll see you once they're all complete in just a jiffy. And there it is. Job done. I think you'll agree it's looking right and proper and infinitely better now. Really lucky to have got them lead caps. Just had to do a bit of fine tuning on the HT spark plug terminal in there, just to get it, you know, a proper fit, not too loose, and I did have a bit of difficulty fitting them on, so I just had to carefully prise those ends a bit just to get them to fit. Otherwise I'm really happy with that. Acid test, of course, start the engine, or attempt to start it. It should go first flick of the key, that's second. Not been running months now, but that's not going to happen today or anytime soon, because the radiators off, no cooling system. I took that off, as I've no doubt already explained, for access to this front. I've given that a deep clean. All the fronts round here wants rust treatment and then painting, and I'll inspect that wiring down there as well. So it's going to be a while before it's fired up, but just before I finish this video, this little two-parter, a quick check to make sure your ignition is working. Remove the cap, switch on the ignition, and just flick open and close the points with your finger whilst observing them, and there should be a nice blue-white spark across the points. If there isn't, and the wiring's in order, you know it is, and you just fitted a new set of points, the most likely cause is preservative still on the points. So if you've wiped them with petrol, and of course allowed that to evaporate before you do that, otherwise there could be an explosion. If you've wiped them with petrol and there's still no spark at the points, just dress them with a little file just to remove that high resistance coating, and then you should have a spark. And then at the HT side of things, if you remove it from the distributor cap off of course, take the king lead from the cap, keep it connected to the coil, hold that within about a quarter inch of a good bright metal part earthed on the engine. So while you're holding the HT lead to the engine, flick the points open, you should see a nice blue spark jump from there to the engine earth. Then you know it's in order. Okay, that's it for this one. Hope it's been interesting.